Hello everyone, I'm Siakil. I'm third electrical student at IIT Tirupati.
And I'm Nikhil, third year electrical student at IIT Tirupati.
Today, both Nikhil and I are going to present a paper regarding HuffCNN, which explains about the deep learning for segmentation of deep brain regions in MRI and ultrasound. This paper was published in 2017 under computer vision and image understanding. Now we'll move on to the introduction for the paper. Like usually, Huff transform is used to detect both curves and straight lines in a given image. The authors of this paper have used Huff transform to detect the different regions of brain. In this work, they have proposed a novel approach to perform segmentation by leveraging the abstraction capabilities of convolutional neural networks. They have evaluated the effect of this paper work on three different dimensions using both training and testing data on the final results. The results on the different dimensions are 2D, 2.5D, and 3D. And they have worked on both MRI and ultrasound volumes depicting 26 regions of the brain, such as basic ganglia and the midbrain. Now, the problem statement requires us to segment different parts of the brain, such as basic ganglia and other parts, mainly to diagnose different diseases. One of the main diseases which is used for which can be detected by segmentation is Parkinson's disease. Like recent research has shown the ability of convolutional neural networks to deal with complex machine learning, complex machine vision problems, like many problems in which human intervention could not be used. And in this paper, we investigate the applicability of convolutional neural networks in medical image analysis. Our goal is to perform segmentation of single and multiple anatomic regions in volumetric clinical images from various modalities. Segmentation of brain structures in ultrasound and MRI has widespread clinical relevance, but it's challenging in both modalities. One of a concrete application is an operative planning of deep brain stimulation neurosurgery, in which basic ganglia like the subthalamic nucleus and globus pallidus internal are targeted for treatment of symptoms of Parkinson's disease and dystonia respectively. Transcranial ultrasound can also be used to scan deep brain neuron regions through tempora bone window. And the main problem with this is, in order to penetrate the skull, no frequencies need to be applied, resulting in an overall reduction of the resolution and in the presence of large incoherent speckle patterns scanning through the bone. Moreover, attenuates a large part of the ultrasound energy, leading to overall reduction of the signal to noise ratio. So doing this mechanically is a big problem. So this robust solution to this is where they have proposed a HuffCNN, a novel segmentation approach in which they evaluate several CNN architectures with varying number of layers, convolution kernels per layer. In this way, they acquire insights on how many network architectures cope with the amount of variability present in medical volumes and image modalities. Each network is trained with different amounts of data in order to evaluate the impact of the number of annotated training examples on the final segmentation result. In particular, we show how complex networks with higher parameter number cope with the relatively small training datasets. They have also compared CNN performance using 3D convolution with more common 2D convolution, as well as 2.5D approach, which was discovered recently. There have also been many related works regarding this image analysis using HuffCNN or segmentation of various parts of different parts of the body, which have paved the way for this paper. Some of the significant notable works are groups have actually applied 3D convolution successfully to detect Alzheimer's disease from whole MRI using 3D convolution. A different approach has also been done to segment MRI using small 3D patches with higher and larger 2.5D ones, which include more context. A fully convolution model making use of both short and long stick connections and residual learning was employed to perform pro-state segmentation of MRI. But the difference from this and the difference from these current paper and the other works which have been done right now is that they propose a CNN which approaches using voxel-wise classification along with high features, which is used to retrieve words that are descriptive of the object of interest. Another important issue in CNN-related research is the research for optimal CNN network architecture. We have found that very little literature that addresses the issue systematically. Although several network architectures were analyzed in different papers, they have found that only one study on very deep CNN, in which the number of convolution layers were varied systematically from 8 to 16, while keeping the kernel size fixed. The study concluded that small kernel sizes in combination with deep architectures can outperform CNNs with few layers and large kernel sizes. And now we'll move on to the steps which method or the steps which include how this paper is actually going to work. The first step is convolution neural networks. This convolution neural network consists of layers which perform operations on the input data. Convolution neural networks actually convolve the images present to the inputs, the predefined number of kernels having certain size, and are usually followed by activation units which rescale the results of the convolution in a non-linear manner. Pooling layers, which are different types of pooling, like max pooling layers or average pooling layers, different layers, reduce the dimensionality of responses produced by the convolution layers through downsampling. During different strategies such as average pooling or max pooling are used. CNN perform machine learning tasks without requiring any handcrafted feature to be engineering and supported by the user. That is, without even describing the features, they themselves learn what features that have to be discovered, and they learn these features on their own. During training, the network parameters have been first initialized, and then the data is processed to the layers in a feed-forward manner. The output of the network is compared to the ground truth through a loss function, and the error is backpropagated in order to update the filters and the weights of the layers. This process is repeated till all of it converges. Once the network is trained, predictions can be made by using in a feed-forward manner and reading out the outputs of the first layer. In their approach, they have used a parametric rectified linear unit as their activation function. It actually works as if given x, if x is greater than 0, it gives output as x. And if x is less than 0, it gives alpha into x as an output, where alpha is a parameter in the preload activation function. And it is learned during the training along with other network weights. And finally, they employ max pooling layers to reduce the dimensions of the data as it transfers the network. The input of the pooling layer is exhaustively subdivided into subpatches, having fixed size and overlapping by amount of control by stride parameter. Only the maximum value in each subpatch is followed by the next layer. This procedure is used to incorporate a spatial invariance to the network, which contradicts the desired localization accuracy required for segmentation. And the next step is voxel-wise classification. A set of square or cubic patches having p pixels are extracted from j annotated volumes Vj along with the corresponding ground truth label. Based on a training CNN are optimized to categorize the patches correctly. The resulting trained networks are capable of performing voxel-wise classification, also called semantic segmentation of volumes, by interpreting them in a patch-wise fashion. There are actually two types of segmentation, to be precise. One is semantic segmentation, another is the instant segmentation. What semantic segmentation does is it does not differentiate between, let's say there are humans in front of a wall. It gives all the humans as one type of segment and wall as different segment. Whereas in instant segmentation, each and every human is also segmented in different types. So that is the difference between semantic segmentation and instant segmentation. And the next one is Huff voting with CNN. During training, what actually happens is they use a training data set of training volumes and respective binary segmentation volumes. They collect patches from both foreground and background and train a CNN. As a result, they obtain parameters that define the network. CNN not only differentiates the patches belonging to the foreground and background through classification, but also associate each input to a feature vector obtained from its second last fully collected layer. The macroscopic effect can be summarized using two functions. And They exhaustively collect the data set of either 2D, 2.5D, or 3D patches from the locations of the foreground region of each and every training volume, and they use CNN to obtain features introduced before. And the word is a displacement vector as given in the slide right now, and it is given by xi minus cj, where centroid is cj is the centroid of the training volume vj, and xi is the displacement vector joining voxel xi, and fg is a set of all voxels belonging to the foreground. The binary segmentation assumes values 1 or 0 respectively for foreground and background area, since they are collected from the positions xi of the binary annotations volumes sj. During testing, what they actually do is, once the neighbors are identified, their votes and association and segmentation patches and the database are employed to respectively perform localization and segmentation. Their votes are weighed by the reciprocal of Euclidean distance computed during KNN search. It is given over here, and vk plus xi plus vk. They repeat the steps above for all the patches which were classified as foreground, since the region of interest occurs only once in each volume. They smooth the final vote map and retrieve a region centered by finding location C, where the maximum value of vote map is reached. What happens is smoothing reduces the possibility of small localization mistakes due to noise in vote map around the position where the maximum occurs. The region of interest can now be segmented by reprojecting the votes which have actually contributed to the centroid. So with that, we'll get different values of the segmentation. The segmentation patches are centered at location xi and weight wk and accumulated in the segmentation map S. Assuming the segmentation patches S has been extended to infinite spatial extent by zero padding, we can write the given value over here. In this sense, segmentation patches can be seen as base functions which take binary values that need to be scaled and recentered at appropriate locations to produce the desired effect in a segmentation map. Move on to the fourth step. It is efficient patching wise evaluation through CNN. While dealing with images or volumes, patches are extracted in a sliding window fashion and processed through a CNN. But this approach is inefficient due to high amount of redundant computations that need to be performed for neighboring patches. To solve this issue, we modify the network structures as proposed by another paper known as Serment et al. In 2013 in order to be able to process the whole volume at once, yet retrieving the same results that we would obtain if the data would be processed patch-wise. And now Nikhil will continue.
Okay, so far Akhil continued with how the method works. Now, with the help of some experiments and results, we're gonna say that how CNN not only can be used to robust segment medical images, but also they can possess the ability to learn extremely affected features from the data. Even in ultrasound, where the structures of interest are often not clearly visible or images are affected at aircrafts, CNNs are also able to focus on cell information and therefore recognize patterns. So now, with help of some experiment, so basically we divide the experiments and results into 5 different sets. So first we're gonna look into data sets and ground truth definition. So when we talk about data sets and ground truth definition, our MRI set is composed of 3 MRI volumes of 55 subjects, which are acquired with using 3D different radio imaging magnitude and phase with an isotropic spatial resolution of 1:1:1 mm. The sequence is designed for quantitative suspectability mapping and sensitivity towards iron deposits. Like these are biomarkers for movement disorders like Parkinson's disease and create visible contrast in relevant basic ganglia like SN and STN. For our study, basic ganglia and other deep brain structures were annotated in atlas volumes in 2 ways. One set of bilateral atlas labels such as like amygdala, thalum, hippocampus, palladium, like were annotated semi-automatically via shape and appearance model segmentation. So basically, the US dataset was acquired transcranically on 34 subjects with several free-handed 3D sweeps recorded through the right and left temporal bone window each. Altogether, 162 volumes were acquired with slight variations in bone window positioning and reconstructed at 1 mm isotropic resolution. For all 162 TCCUS volumes, mid-range outlines were underwritten 3D by single human expert. In order to test our approach to benchmark the capabilities on the proposed sentence when they are trained with a variable amount of data, for each of the 40 training volumes in the US, in ultrasound we collect either 2K or 10K patches per volume, such that half of the training set sits at the background and the other half of the foreground. These resulting training sets have experience of 80K and 400K patches. So when we move, this says that the resulting training sets have respective size of 135K or 135 million and 135 million patches. So when we go on to with the help of this ground truth, and when we talk about CNN parameters, where we analyze six different networks presented in in the you see here in the table one, let's say 6 CNNs were designed and employed to process the squared or cubic patches having 31 pixels. Here you can see that by training each of them for 15 epochs using shadow gradient descent with mini batches of 64 or 124 samples, 124 sample learning rate varying between learning rate varying between 10 power minus 2 and 10 power minus 3. Depending on the individual network architecture, momentum 0.9, weight decay 5 into 10 power minus 4. All our models are converged at a different, all our models have shown the same result at after few epochs, and often even before 7th epoch. Here you can see that, and each network is analyzed 3 times with patches captured in the same amount of context from the neighboring node, but having different dimensionality. This is our networks for 2D data, 2.5 and 3D data in order to investigate how the network responds to the higher amount of information carried by patches in 2.5 data, 3D data compared to 2D. During training, we randomly sample patches from 100 volumes and we feed them to the networks along with the ground truth labels. So all the tests were made on the similar workstation equipped with NVIDIA. These were all made on the same platform. So with the help of all these things, when we experiment and results in ultrasound, we experiments and results in ultrasound. Okay. We train our CNNs with different amount of data having differently dimensionality as explained. In this section, actually in table 3, we have shown that the mid-range segmentation 144 periods taken and TCS volumes. It defines that we test each CNN on 144 ultrasound volumes acquired from subjects whose scans have never been used during training or validation. This table shows the average performance in the terms of rise coefficient, mean distance of estimated contours to the ground truth, and failure of the proposed of CNN networks. We segment one region per volume. The failure rate represents the percentage of volume where the region of interest could not be segmented due to wrong location. In this picture, where we see the volume composition of semantic segmentation result, this picture actually represents the volume comparison of semantic using half CNN on the same ultrasound data using best performance CNN. So experiments on this is experiment on using ultrasound. When we talk about the experiments results and based on MRI, we train each of our networks 9 times, 8 for 3D in order to explore all the possible combination of different data dimensionality and size of the training sets as explained in section as explained this in this data sets and ground truth definition. So the table that I have shown there reports the average performance in terms of dive coefficient, mean distance of estimated contours to the ground truth annotations, and failure rates of the correspondent half CNN segmentation approach, where different CNNs are employed at its score. The failure rate is in particular refers to the percentage of regions of the whole training set. The total number of regions are here 206. The total number are 26 cross 10 regions. that were not segmented correctly by Hofstadter due to the fact that they could not be corrected and localized. The results are clustered by the size of training set employed to the training model to improve readability and possibility of making comparisons between CNNs employing data having different dimensionality, such as 2D, 2.5D, and 3D. For these results, we can observe that the best performance architecture is 753. Here we can see that the Dice coefficient of that is 0.68. We compare the results achieved by the architecture 753 on each of the 26 region on 26 brain regions like on of interest separately. When different data dimensionalities are used, the bar plot shows that the result is in. Here you can see the bar plot, the different results on different dimension of data. Here you can see 2D, 2.5D, 3D. The results of this architecture 753 on different on these 26 regions, 26 brain regions for different what we call that dimension. Dice coefficients when bigger regions and high contrast area are segmented. Small and low contrast regions could be correctly localized, but they were in general hard to segment. So finally, comparison with fully convolution neural networks, convolution models. Like in order to put our results into perspective and compare our approach with the other state-of-art models, we compare the results achieved with the Hofstadter with the results achieved by the VNet. VNet is actually a fully functional convolution network approach and trained end-to-end, which makes use of short and long skip connection and residual blocks in this architecture. One of the particulars of VNet is use of loss function based on Dice coefficient, which is specifically tailored and has proved useful in binary segmentation tasks. In our comparison, we kept all the hyper parameters of the model fixed to the what others use it and trained the model of 20,000 iterations until convergence of the same training network. Unfortunately, the same study could not be run on the MRI dataset due to the fact that VNet does not support multiple regions and that other works from the recent literature do not provide a readily working implementation or require too much memory to be tested on the hardware that is currently available to us. So these are the experiments and results that we have seen. And when we here we go to discussion on the and finally conclusion of our model. So actually, training of CNNs requires a large amount of data in order to achieve satisfactory voxel-wise classification results and perform segmentation. However, as defined in the introduction, obtaining such large unedited data sets is rarely impossible. In clinical settings, by using a voting-based strategy, it is possible to localize the anatomy of interest with high decision. Even when the rate of misclassified voxels is very high, additionally, our half-CNN approach implicitly enforces the shape which facilitate segmented CNNs in the images, where the anatomy of interest is poorly visible. Furthermore, when using 3D patches, only 1.35 million training patches were required to surpass the performance obtained with datasets of 1. Where the 13.5 millions of 2D data set, 2D-dimensional datasets are required. This marks a 90% reduction of required training data. The experiments performed on MRI highlight important aspects of both our CNNs and modality itself. Most of the brain's regions considered in this study can be recognized by human rater by clearly visible context, while the position and boundaries are difficult regions. So you can see here, you can see the chart like in MRI where the most part of the regions have good context, while the position of the others can be inferred by the context. The best performing network, as we have discussed earlier, the 753 architecture. Although this architecture is simplest, it is delivered the best results in all the MRI experiments. In ultrasound, which is a challenging modality, the networks that delivered best results were among the most complex. Small LX and 33333 are deeper and therefore recognize more complex visual content than 753. So compared to Atlas segmentation, though CNN is faster 30 seconds in ultrasound and 3 to 4 minutes in MRI on the machine them polite for testing and until the registration free, this makes our approach applicable to TCS data, in which registration depend methods like Atlas-based segmentation would be extremely difficult, if not impossible, due to large missing anatomical and structural context. So this is the discussion that we on this model. And so when we go to the conclusion of this, and finally the conclusion is, in this work we applied CNN to medical segmentation under constraints of limited training data and computational resources. But when we performed a large study of several CNN parameters, including architects, patch dimensionality, and training set size, highlighting CNN performance given challenges from different modelites, we proposed half CNN a patch-wise multi-atlas method, which implicitly encodes priors on anatomic shape and context. The method outperformed voxel-wise method unperformed voxel-wise segmentation on CNN in all proper on all proper parameter settings, while we use less training data and deliver smooth segmentation contours without the need of post-processing. The method is modality independent and scalable to multiple regions and harness the impressive classification on CNNs and deep learning for application in clinical settings. Thank you.